That's IQWealth.com. I'm Rod Tanner.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and indeed, it must be Friday. It's hard to believe we're already into September. It's September 7th, and we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park Money Radio Studios at 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, and the World Wide Web at moneyradio1510.com. If this is the first time you're tuning in, our show is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. We've been privileged to bring our show to you now for the last 5 years. And if you want to check us out, go to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button that's up on the top. The third button down after you click on the media button's radio shows. We've done over 200 radio shows, and we got an extraordinary one here today. So what makes our radio show is not so much me who hosts the show, it's the guests that we bring to the show. And we have a return guest. He hasn't been here in a little while, but he's back. I'd say it's been probably a year and a half since you've been here, and so much has happened to your company. So, K.C. Kanaan, welcome to Health Futures. Good to have you back.
Thank you, Bob. I'm glad to be back.
Good to have you back. And to your left, my right, is Rebecca Dice, and she is the Regional Director of Operations for a company called Surpass Senior Living, but they're better known here in our community as Mariposa Point Properties. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Rebecca, it's good to have you, and we're going to bounce around here and talk a little bit about your communities, and we're going to talk about Envoy America. And, you know, I want to address K.C. because when you first came on the show, which was like 3.5, 4 years ago, you were just getting started. And you and your business partner had this vision, this idea. And rather for me to describe it, I want you to take our listening audience through the creation of Envoy America. Where did this come from? And, you know, fast forward now 3.5, 4 years later, tell us where you're at.
Thank you again, Bob, for having me on your show. We started this business 3 years ago with the vision of helping seniors stay independent, healthy, socially active, all without getting behind the wheel of a car, to create a service that would replicate what a son or daughter would do to help their mom or dad or their loved ones get to do the things that they are that they're used to doing, like going to the grocery store, religious services, medical appointments, and that's what we did. So we started here in the Phoenix area. A year and a half into starting the business, we were fortunate enough to expand. Now we operate in 6 states, 12 major cities, and 68 smaller cities across the country.
That's incredible. And, you know, what's interesting is when you poll older adults, I don't like calling them seniors, but when you poll older adults, because I'm becoming an older adult, I got a birthday this month, you ask them what their concerns are. You know, first and foremost, number one, they want to age in place if they can. Not everybody can. Number two is transportation, because many of them are afraid to drive, and many of them are afraid to drive at night. Many of them no longer can drive. So, you know, you really fill a void that is out there. And I love how you say about sons and daughters, because our listening audience has heard me say it over and over again. You know, I look at Cypress Home Care Solutions. We engage caregivers, where K.C. engages drivers. And our caregivers are really the lifeline of the work that we do. They are making differences in people's lives every single day. And I'll make this appeal. We need more caregivers. You know, I hosted, or should I say moderated a roundtable just 2 weeks ago today. It was the Arizona In-Home Care Association annual trade show that they did, or annual conference that they did, and workforce is a challenge. So if you, our listener, or you, our listener, knows somebody that is a caring spirit, wants to make a difference in somebody's life, have them call us at Cypress. It's not difficult to become a caregiver. We can take you through the process. We can direct you on how to get the certifications and the resources to be able to become a caregiver. Just call us up at 602-264-8009. So I liken our caregivers to being surrogate sons and daughters when the sons and daughters can't be there. So it's interesting to hear you say that, because they are there to help them. Statistically, we know that the closest a son or daughter is to their older parent, the adult child to their parent, is now on average 280 miles. Right. Now, I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. Many of you have heard me say this. You know, the nuclear family was really tight. My grandmother, she cared for her mother, she cared for her husband, she cared for her brother. That's just the way it was done. I used to say, you know, and I still say to this day, I had more aunts and uncles than my mother and father had brothers and sisters, because you would never call somebody Mr. or Mrs., because that would be too formal. And you wouldn't call them by their first name. That would be too informal. So an endearing name would be an aunt and uncle. Right. Fast forward now, 40, 50 years, that doesn't exist anymore. So here you are 3 years later, and you are in 6 major states. In how many cities?
12 major cities, 68 smaller cities.
Wow, that's incredible. And how are you finding your drivers?
We use different methods to find drivers, but the one that is working for us and working great is word of mouth. Our existing drivers tell their friends about what they're doing, how they look at this as a calling versus a job, how they're impacting the elderly, how they're helping them, and they're getting their friends to call us and apply to come and join our team. So that's one method. Some of our corporate clients, like synagogues and churches, the staff at those religious institutions tell their congregation about us, and that's another way we recruit drivers. But the drivers, they do a great job for us, just like your caregivers do a great job. They're the face of the company, and we're blessed to have such a great team. So
I want to start this, and we're going to end our first segment in a few seconds here. So I'll tee up our second segment, okay? I'm sure our listening audience hears your company, Envoy America, and you're talking about how you are transporting people from point A to point B, and they're thinking about Uber and Lyft and the others that are out there, these on-demand solutions. You know, when we come back from our break, I want you to talk about how Envoy America is different. And then also when we come back from the break, I want you to talk about the partnership that you and Rebecca have with the Mariposa properties in Envoy America. I mean, I think that's really, really important for our listening audience to hear not only about that partnership, but the other partnerships, because you mentioned synagogues and churches. I mean, it is amazing how you are delivering people that didn't have transportation otherwise into the space they want to be. On Sundays, they want to go to church. On Saturday, they want to go to synagogue. And this Monday is a religious holiday. You know, it's going to be Rosh Hashanah, and I would imagine you're going to be very busy on Rosh Hashanah delivering people. So
sounds good.
We got Wes taking us out with a little Chicago, and it says we're only the beginning, right? It's only the beginning, so we're just getting started. Make sure you, as our listening audience, stick around. We got a great show ahead of us. I got K.C. Kanaan from Envoy America. I got Rebecca Dice. She is the Regional Director of Operations for Mariposa Point Properties. We'll be right back.
Bill Gunderson's Nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 a.m., professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
The following ad contains shocking material. Listener discretion is advised. Is someone in your family playing a dangerous game of Russian roulette? Over 43,000 people die a year from drug overdose. 120 people a day. 5 people every hour. 1 person every 12 minutes. 88,000 people die every year from alcohol abuse. Over 240 people a day. 10 an hour. 1 person every 6 minutes. Somebody you know may be next. Learn how to help someone you love get away from the drugs, alcohol, and bad influences. With the FMLA, people can take a leave of absence from their job and still keep it. Call now and learn how we can help you. 800-287-7891. 800-287-7891. That's 800-287-7891.
This is David Kogan with Eliances, ELIANCES.com. Unlock the secrets to Richard Branson, founder who we interviewed, Big Lots CEO, president of Telemundo, founder of North Face, Chuck E. Cheese founder, and hundreds more. Every Monday at noon and Saturday at 7 a.m. on Money Radio. Go to Eliances.com, ELIANCES.com to unlock the secrets of some of the most successful people in the world. Eliances.com.
The D-backs are in a fight for postseason. Get to the game this Saturday and pick up the Ketel Marte Luchador bobblehead. Get tickets online at dbacks.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, we're on our second segment. I've got K.C. Kanaan. He is the founder and chief executive officer of Envoy America, and I've also got Rebecca Dice, and she's the regional director of operations for Surpass Senior Living, and their properties here in Arizona are known as Mariposa Point Properties. And when we left off in the first segment, I teed up this segment talking about some of the things I want K.C. Kanaan to talk about, and that is I want you to talk about how are you different from some of these on-demand, these new technology resources like Uber and Lyft?
Sure. Very good question. And a lot of people ask me this question, how are you different? There are a lot of different ways we're different than the on-demand ride-sharing. One of them is the type of drivers that driver companions that join our platform. They tend to be a little bit older. They're more mature. We look for people that have had experience caring for a loved one who lost their ability to drive. We offer them training, as an example, how to interact with somebody with memory issues, how to break down a wheelchair, how to stow a walker, which are things that are not easy to do if you haven't done it. So there are a lot of things that our driver companions do that your typical Uber Lyft driver does not do. Another difference is our drivers tend to stay with the client. So they walk them into the building. They stay with them. If it's a medical appointment, they stay in the lobby. The minute they're done, They can take them either to a pharmacy or a lab if needed, or to Safeway or some grocery store, and help them just like a son or daughter would do to help their mom or dad. There are a lot of differences, but the drivers themselves are different, and the training they receive is different, and how we interact with our clients is different. We take care of them better than anybody else. That's why we continue to grow. That's why we continue to engage with marquee clients like Surpass Senior Living or Mariposa Point in the Arizona market.
So I want to expand a little bit on it and just share with our listening audience so they understand, because, I am a big promoter of Envoy America. I serve as one of Envoy America's advisors, and, I've watched them grow, which has been really nothing short of phenomenal. It's really been nice to watch. And, one of the things that I've heard K.C. say and some of his people say is, when you look at the on-demand applications that are out there, Lyft and Uber, they are curb to curb. And, K.C., I've heard him say it's more door to door, and it's in the door as well. So, you talked about appointments, and, one of the things that happens with older adults is they have lots of appointments. Mm-hmm. And lots of times they have appointments that are routine appointments, whether it be physical therapy, whether it be occupational therapy, chemotherapy, visiting doctor's appointments. And one of the things I really love about Envoy America versus the other on-demand applications out there is that you have consistency with the driver. Just like with caregiving, you develop this bond in this relationship. So, one of the things that you guys do really well is matching up a driver with a resident that needs to get to a place. So kudos, because that's really important. And, that bond that happens, especially when you talk about door to door and you talk about going to the pharmacy, you are taking people often into grocery stores and helping with the bags and putting them into the car and then taking them up into their condos or apartments, wherever they live. That's really a nice service that you have.
It is, Bob, and we get a lot of feedback from our clients that they appreciate it. They appreciate that they build this relationship with the driver companion. They become like a surrogate son or daughter to them. They care about them. They help them. This time of the year, right here in Phoenix, the weather is so hot. And some of the clients that we use, they tell us they love using the service because when they can buy ice cream and it doesn't melt by waiting for a taxi or Uber or Lyft. But not just we're there with them, but also we're carrying the bag or carrying a case of water. So they're staying healthy. They're staying socially active from. Again, it's not just the medical appointments, it's the social activities, going to the theater. Football season just started. We take seniors to sports games. Spring training is something we do.
I love that. And you mentioned religious services, and for people that are celebrating Rosh Hashanah, and I actually saw last year one of your drivers attending services with one of your clients. To be there to assist that person, and that is remarkable.
We did announce earlier this week that we have a partnership with the Jewish Federation of Greater Phoenix, and also in different states where we operate, where we are helping seniors and the infirm get to the synagogue for the high holiday events. So we do this, and we're glad to be able to provide that service, so the seniors and the people that can drive can still be part of the community and feel good about being part of the services. We do this, and we're glad to be able to do it.
Before I talk and pivot over to Rebecca and talk about the partnership that you have with the Surpass Senior Living Group, one of the things I think is remarkable is these relationships that you have fostered. And I talk about churches, I talk about synagogues, but talk to our listening audience a little bit about the American Cancer Society, because I think that's an incredible partnership, and what you're doing for them is awesome.
The American Cancer Society, as everybody knows, is a great organization that helps not just in funding research, but also helping patients get to medical appointments and getting their treatment so they can get healthier and get better. They do have a program, it's called Road to Recovery, where they rely on volunteers to provide service. But in a situation where they do not have volunteers, they rely on companies like us. So we have been working with the American Cancer Society. It started here in Phoenix about 2.5 years ago, where we help them as part of the Road to Recovery program to help patients get to their medical appointments and go home. And that relationship expanded from Phoenix to Tucson to Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, to Albuquerque in the last 6 months. And we are glad to be helping the American Cancer Society. As many people know, they have a campaign in October for Breast Awareness Month. And I'm one of the volunteers that's helping them. Real Men Wear Pink, to help them raise funds, and I'm glad to be part of it. And this is not the first time I do it, but we're glad to be working with the American Cancer Society. They're a great organization. They do wonderful things to the patients, and we're glad to be a part of their effort.
So not only are you providing the service, but who's actually paying for that service for that person that it has need? Are they paying for it, or is the American Cancer Society paying for it?
The American Cancer Society has a program. Obviously, the patient has to call them and
coordinate
with them, and they approve or they manage the program. And when they do a wonderful job. They help over 1.2 million patients a year, or rides a year. That's the last number I saw. But again, they're also looking for volunteers. So if somebody has the time and can help, I highly recommend they reach out to the American Cancer Society and help them.
1.2 million. Wow.
That's the last number I saw, and this was a year or two ago. But they do wonderful things for cancer patients.
Great partnership, K.C. Really great partnership. So talking about partnerships, this young lady here is sitting to your left, my right. We're going to get ready to take a break, but go ahead and just describe, how did you guys meet, and how did this all begin? And if we have to time out for halftime, we'll come right back.
Sure.
Pick up on it.
I've met Rebecca about 2.5 years ago, where she was an executive director at one of the senior living communities, and we built a relationship where we were helping her community, the residents. And then when Rebecca transitioned into Surpass Senior Living, Mariposa Point, we continued the relationship and continued to work with them. So at a very high level, our company is working with Mariposa as their transportation partner. So instead of Mariposa hiring drivers and taking on the cost of operating the vehicles, our team does it for them to help them with increasing their census, which is a big thing with senior living communities, especially new ones. Help them deliver service to their residents so they can differentiate themselves in the marketplace, but be part and an extension of their team.
We're going to learn a little bit more about this relationship in the second half. We're at halftime here at Health Futures, taking stock in you. I got K.C. Kanaan from Envoy America here in the studio, and Rebecca Dice. She is from Surpass Senior Living.
Bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
Former President Obama says America is going through crazy and dangerous times. He offered a blistering criticism of President Trump and urged voters to show up on Election Day.
If you thought elections don't matter, I hope these last 2 years have corrected that impression.
When President Trump was asked about the Obama speech,
I found he's very good for sleeping.
The president's asking the Attorney General to find and prosecute the person who authored that critical op-ed this week in the New York Times. Dallas police are charging a white officer with manslaughter in the killing of a black neighbor. The officer says that she killed the man when she mistakenly walked into the wrong apartment. Authorities have dispatched firefighters in an ambulance to deal with an incident at a Tecumseh, Nebraska prison that was the site of 2 deadly riots in recent years. On Wall Street today, the Dow is down 0.25%. I'm Mike Moss.
At Fidelity, we believe nothing should come between you and your money. So we're introducing zero account fees with zero minimums to open an account. All because we want you to invest with zero trade-offs. Visit fidelity.com/value to learn more. Zero account minimums and zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Expenses charged by investments such as funds and managed accounts and for commissions, interest charges, or other expenses for transactions may still apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC.
Imagining a better bank starts with looking at the savings rates most banks offer and saying, really? Capital One is building something better. You can open a Capital One savings account with one of the nation's best savings rates from anywhere, like here, or here, or here. One of the nation's best savings rates. Opened online, at a Capital One location, or from anywhere. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Retirement. Are you near it or already in it? Well, this place, Money Radio, is a place to stay to make sure it all works out the way you want. We're all about money right here.
Join certified financial planner Nancy Fleming this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
What's your IRS problem? Do you owe back taxes? Is there a lien placed on your property? Have your bank accounts been frozen or seized? Have your wages been garnished? Are you being audited by the IRS? Are they sending you letters that demand actions and have urgent due dates? Well, solving your tax problems is as easy as calling Taxes 321. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. You need the best representation to give you peace of mind. You need experienced professionals that can cut through the red tape and stop the collection process. If you have a serious problem with the IRS, call the Taxes 321 network today. We'll get them off your back.
800-203-3517, 800-203-3517, 800-203-3517, 800-203-3517.
The Army National Guard is committed to keeping the country safe and our communities secure. Composed of hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers from all walks of life, the Guard is always ready to respond to local or national emergencies. We protect the homeland. We're always there when called upon, and in every state and territory, we stand guard for our communities. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Arizona Army National Guard. Aired by the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Buried in credit card debt? Reduce it now to a fraction of what you owe. Call for free advice. 800-471-0216. 800-471-0216.
Frank Miller with Your Money Now. Well, heading into the final hour of trading, stocks have remained mostly lower. The Dow off of its worst levels of the day, but still continues to trade in negative territory. Among stocks today, shares of Barnes & Noble are seeing a notable jump after a regulatory filing revealed that Schottenfeld Opportunities Fund, headed by investor Richard Schottenfeld, is pushing for a sale of the company. Filing revealed that Schottenfeld upped its stake in the company to 6.9%. The filing stated that Barnes & Noble shares are substantially undervalued and represent an attractive investment opportunity. In the filing, he also discussed changes in company leadership at the executive and board levels, implementation of operational improvements, and the desirability of selling the company. Shares of Barnes & Noble up over 15% in intraday trading. Meanwhile, shares of Five Below continue to see some significant strength in the afternoon. After reaching a record intraday high, Five Below currently up over 14%. That spike coming after the discount retailer reported results that beat estimates on both the top and bottom lines. And that is Your Money Now.
The clock is ticking. Every day you put off buying life insurance can cost you big time. The older you get, the more you'll have to pay. And a sudden accident or unexpected illness could cause your rates to skyrocket or even make you uninsurable. Beat the clock. Call Select Quote now. No hassle, no obligation. In minutes, you'll have a choice of your best rates from up to 10 highly rated life insurance companies. Richard, 40 years old, takes meds to control his cholesterol. Still, SelectQuote got him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. Under $1 a day. Don't risk your family's security another minute. Get your free quote now. Just call 800-569-2121. That's 800-569-2121. 800-569-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And that tune that I have Wes bringing is in tribute to our guest here today, K.C. Kanaan.
Thank you, Wes.
That is K.C. and the Sunshine Band. Yes, that's the way I like it. So if you're just tuning in, I have the privilege of having K.C. Kanaan. He is the CEO and co-founder of Envoy America, and I've got Rebecca Dice. She is the Regional Director of Operations for Surpass Senior Living, Mariposa Point Properties. And we are in our third segment, so if you missed the first two segments, go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button, drop down to the radio show. You'll catch those first two segments and about 200 others that we've been bringing to you for the last 5 years. So we left off on our second segment talking about how you, Casey, and you, Rebecca, got together and how this strategic partnership formed between Mariposa Point Properties and Envoy America. And Casey was talking about the value proposition that Envoy America brought to the Mariposa Properties, and that is Mariposa Properties doesn't have to hire drivers, doesn't have to invest in vehicles and assets that are depreciating almost immediately when they buy them. Doesn't have to worry about the insurances that are needed for that. And that's kind of how you left it off. So I want you to pick up from there, some of the work that you're doing for Rebecca and her communities.
Sure. So I'll start and then I'll turn it over to Rebecca. But we become an extension of their operation. So the biggest benefit is no need to worry about the hiring headaches, the workers' comp, the insurance, the training, retraining, the management piece, but also giving customized service to the patient, to the residents that live there, and bringing all these benefits to Mariposa Point so they can deliver services to the residents to help them differentiate themselves in the marketplace.
Thank you, Casey. So I will share with you as the ED of Mariposa Point of Gilbert, where we first started in the opening phase of that property, having a driver who was comfortable in working with seniors, someone who was seen as part of our team, actually an extension of Mariposa Point of Gilbert to the residents, was truly helpful and beneficial to me as the administrator. It's true, we didn't have to worry about hiring somebody who spent then down hours on the time clock, which would have been an expense to us. I will share with you, though, that it's more important, I think, the extra benefits besides what it does for Mariposa Properties is what it does for the clients. And we're all about the seniors themselves and how it entitles or affords them, rather, an ability to be more comfortable and free to do what they want to do when they want to do it. So Casey through Envoy, does our scheduled appointments for medical appointments on certain set days during the week, and then can also then take scheduled appointments to events. But then in addition to that, if I am a resident that's living at one of the properties, I can have a relationship on an individual basis with this personal driver. I'm going to talk first person. I have a family member, a loved one, that lives in one of our properties, and she has some memory loss. This is very difficult for her and for family members because she thrives on and desires very much to be as independent as possible, as all of us do. I think one of the greatest fears that seniors have is this freedom elapsing, and it doesn't have to be that way. Even if you have memory loss, even if family is saying you shouldn't be driving, the doctor says you are no longer able to drive. The transportation department, says you are no longer able to drive. And that's the last vestige of independence.
It is.
It is. And it's so for my particular loved one, it was extremely important. And so how it happened is that it wasn't just setting an appointment where somebody unknown to her shows up. Even before her first drive, an introduction was made. And the person came and visited with her, sat in her apartment, got to know her. Not only did that person get to know about my loved one, she got to know about the driver, and they became friends. And so on their first appointment, it wasn't this scary person, unbeknownst to her. You could, an Uber driver, you get to know through a picture. You don't have a relationship with that person. They don't know anything about you. They don't know your fears and your physical limitations. And you have to keep track of that person on a device that doesn't make any sense to you. So when you have this other personalized relationship, she doesn't have to worry about when that person's going to be showing up. That person shows up on time. The loving kindness that occurred between this person and my loved one was a comfort to me and my family. There were times that she forgot that she made the appointment. The driver would show up in a very kind way, understand, and then reschedule. There was no repercussions in any way, and that was important to the dignity of my loved one, right? So she was afforded, when she did go shopping, to go to the grocery store. And we even got down to discussions with Envoy about, all right, so does the driver walk beside her and do the shopping? Because my loved one, and I'm saying very specifically that by that so that we don't know, don't know who she is, doesn't put too much in the grocery basket, because we are talking about somebody who has memory loss, who wants to be independent, who would fill up 3 grocery bags, things of groceries, right?
Right.
And put things in there that she may not even be able to cook, because there's no cooking in assisted living. So you could have the driver help her in the decision making, or the instruction could be, no, you just have the driver just keep eyes on her, kind of keep a distance, watching from afar, making sure she's safe. So that kind of detailed service delivery made it affordable for her to be able to go grocery shopping. That would be true of shopping for clothes, or not only just going to medical appointments. So we have a family unit that lives close by, but we're all working individuals, and to have taking 2 hours for a shopping experience, and that's about how long it took. Not just the driving, but the shopping experience, is something that we couldn't carve out of our day. And the guilt that we felt because we couldn't was then removed because we had this very loving opportunity that was in place. So, our seniors don't have to feel like they're trapped. If they don't want to go on the bus and go as a group to go shopping, they don't have to. If they want to go someplace else and visit a friend, they can. They have the freedom that they've always had before, so that's not something that has to be taken away.
That first person experience that you just shared with us was awesome. I'm telling you that I got so much from that, and hearing what it has done for you and your family is really sort of amazing. It really is. I mean, it takes that guilt away.
Yeah.
And, the time capital that you would have had to invest to take your mother-in-law to the grocery store to do shopping is huge.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I will say this, K.C. said this when he first got started talking about dementia training. And I think that's what really sets Envoy apart. The personal service, the fact that the driver will go help shop, handle the bags, make sure that, she doesn't have 3 bags. She's only getting one of everything. And that experience where the introduction took place and the meeting, it's really awesome. Absolutely awesome. But the dementia training, I believe, if I recall, Banner Alzheimer's Institute, Jan Doherty was behind that training that you have initiated for your drivers.
Right. Jan was very instrumental. After she retired from Banner Alzheimer's Institute, we worked with Jan to create the training module, and everybody that is part of the company goes through it. It's a requirement.
Jan has been a guest here on our show, as has many of the folks from the Banner Alzheimer's Institute, including Dr. Pierre Theriault, Dr. Jessica Langbaum, Jan Doherty. The list goes on. But a real credit to your organization, K.C. So we're going to wrap up our third segment. We'll be right back to handle one more segment. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I've got Envoy America in the house, and I got Mariposa Communities, Point Properties here in the house. We'll be right back.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 a.m., professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
The following update is for drivers who pay too much for car insurance due to DUIs, DWIs, tickets, or anything else. By now, you know all too well that SR22 auto insurance is way more than you'd ever want to pay. You probably thought you didn't have a choice, but you were wrong. Our company specializes in low-cost, very affordable SR22 auto insurance for high-risk drivers. We know that mistakes happen, so take pride in being able to offer absolutely free quotes for this very affordable auto insurance meant specifically for you, the overpaying high-risk driver. We're standing by at 800-749-2984. The only thing you need to do is stop waiting around while your monthly payments stay as high as they are. Our knowledgeable representatives are ready for your call at 800-749-2984. The quote is free, and we'll even handle the filings so you could start saving money every month even sooner. Call 800-749-2984. That's 800-749-2984. Once more, 800-749-2984.
Selfless service is the guiding principle that drives Army National Guard soldiers to be always ready whenever disaster strikes. They are your next-door neighbors and your colleagues in schools, offices, and factories. To be a Guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times for family, for community, and for country. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area.
Sponsored by the Arizona Army National Guard. Aired by the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
The D-backs are in a fight for postseason. Get to the game this Saturday and pick up the Ketel Marte Luchador bobblehead. Get tickets online at dbacks.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, we're in our fourth segment. I've got K.C. Kanaan from Envoy America. He's the Chief Executive Officer, co-founder of this incredible ride programs that is available here, and not only here in our state, but many other states and many other cities throughout the country. And then I've also got here in the studio, I got Rebecca Dice. She's the Regional Director of Operations for Surpass Senior Living Mariposa Point Properties. So I want to give out their contact information, then I want to bounce back over to Rebecca. Envoy America, K.C. Kanaan, go to their website to learn more. It's envoyamerica.com, or you can call 888-375-5558, or call locally 480-584-5894. And in the month of September, you buy 1 hour, you get 1 hour free for new clients during this entire month. And with Surpass Senior Living, Mariposa Point Properties, you can go to surpassliving.com, and that's SURPASS, living.com. Call 833-873-8733. Wow, that's easy to remember. That is great. So, Rebecca, you're doing some great things, and during the break, you talked about one of these partnerships you have. I want you to discuss that with our listening audience, and tell us a little bit about the properties that you have here in Arizona.
Thank you, Bob. So, Surpass Living, first I'll just share just a little bit about who we are. We are a Dallas-based company and have properties in Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, and in Arizona. One of our core values in working with the community is the relationships that we have, because we do see that it's working with seniors. In order to be effective, we have to be larger than ourselves, and in having memory care as part of a component of our living experience, dementia and Alzheimer's specifically as a disease is something that we feel that we need to be part of the solution to get rid of, quite frankly. We were approached by a company who is doing a research in Arizona, and we wanted to be part of that. It's called CT. It stands for Cognitive Clinical Trials, and they are working with local neurologists and will be doing clinical trials in our Mariposa Point properties. We are just hosting a space for them, and people will be able to come and be part of the trial and experience, of course, while they're there, what an assisted living and memory care might look like, and not be so scared about what it's like to live in one of our properties, because it's quite nice. But I personally feel that it's a good partnership, because wouldn't it be wonderful if one of their clinical trials was the trial that made the difference in this horrible disease?
Right.
Yeah. So talking a little bit about our properties, we have not only assisted living and memory care, which, by the way, we have in Gilbert, Mesa, and in Phoenix, the South Phoenix next to Estrella Hospital called Elgadon. We also have an assisted living in Surprise, and we are currently building a 202 independent apartment right next to our Gilbert property. So in Arizona, we'll have independent, assisted living, and memory care.
Wow. You're covering all the different spectrums, if you would, of aging. And memory care, I love the fact that you're doing this partnership with this clinical trial. This is something that is growing. As Dr. Pierre Theriault said, it's not an epidemic, it's pandemic. And it's going to crush our society if we don't figure out how to eliminate Alzheimer's and dementia from our world. And how do we do it? We'll leave it up to the scientists. But they're making breakthroughs all the time. And even when they haven't found a cure, they found out what doesn't work. So, it's going to take a village. And I love what we have here in Arizona. The consortium, which is a collaboration of all the institutes that are here, whether it be Sun Health, whether it be the folks over at Barrows, whether it be at Banner, Mayo, they all collaborate to help find a cure or a way to eliminate this disease from our society and where we don't lose another generation. So on a positive note, I want to wrap things up here. K.C. Kanaan, thank you very much for being on the show here again. It's been a little while from having you here, but it's great to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Bob. Thank you.
And I got a preview into what you're going to be doing tomorrow. A little bit of hiking and a lot of college football.
All day college football.
All day college football. And Rebecca, it's been a pleasure to meet you and have you here on the show. Anything special planned for the weekend? You mentioned you got a new family member.
Yeah, I'm looking at getting a little puppy. We already have 2 at home, so I understand when you have 3, you have a pack.
Wow. Just make sure that you're the pack boss and the puppy's not, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And what kind of puppy are you getting?
We're looking to get a small mini Aussie.
Mini Aussie. Do you even have names yet?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, not yet.
Very good. Well, listen, I can't thank you both enough. You brought a lot of great content. And, Rebecca, your story about your family member, I asked our guests to paint a picture. You painted a lovely picture of what Envoy America does for her when she has Envoy America engaged to transport her from the A to B.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Significant service.
Thank
you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Bob.
You've been listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next Friday.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
One certified financial planner, Nancy Fleming, this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
KFNN Mesa, Phoenix, and K287BX Mesa. You're listening to the Valley's only source for full-time financial news and money talk on the radio, Money Radio. Let's take a look at the numbers. Dow down 75 points, 25,920. S&P down 5 at 2872, and NASDAQ down 19 at 7903.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin now.